who you are and what do you do?
Some people call me an entrepreneur. I just do fun stuff, really, to be honest. Um, I've got a marketing agency called Becks Clates. That's sort of my what you'd call a cash cow. So that just sits and generates passive income for me, sort of every month, and it's quite an automated business. But that business is good because it taught me how to actually get sales into any industry. So off the back of the marketing agency, I actually invested in 11 other companies. So I've currently got investments in 11 companies and I've got 100% ownership of Becks Clates, which is my marketing agency.
Can you tell us a bit about the figures that the marketing agency is doing?
Yeah, it's not doing 7 million a year, but it's doing about 500,000 a year in rev. I want to do, so my ideal figure is 780K, which is what I want to do this year.
And you started your first business at 14. Go on, tell us about that. And what was it? What motivated you to start so early on?
Yeah. Well, if I think about my motivations, I always used to hate the feeling of embarrassment. Really hated feeling embarrassed. Um, so, so to sort of counteract that, I thought if I had a business at such a young age, I just thought I'd never really feel embarrassed again, or I'd never feel like anyone's sort of judging me, and it'd make me feel a bit more mature. Um, so that's sort of the reason why I started.
From like a financial sense or what?
It wasn't really a financial sense. I think to be honest, I think I just wanted a bit of respect. I mean, as you all know, it's hard to get respect as a young guy. I mean, even now, I'm 20, so it's still difficult. But 14, who takes you seriously at 14? So I think I just wanted people to take me more seriously.
Tell us about that first business. What were you doing?
Yeah, so my first business was actually dropshipping. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of dropshipping before. You might have heard of Shopify. I had to take a massive loan from my dad, about £80. So yeah, I took that loan from my dad, and I bought Shopify. I actually tried 11 different dropshipping stores. So it ranged from bouncy balls to animal cushions, and I was just selling them on TikTok Shop. And yeah, that's the first ever business I started, and all 11 stores made absolutely nothing.
How long is it before you like pivoted and went to a new business? Because in those early days, those early businesses are just sort of trials, aren't they?
Yeah, so I think I pivoted about 6 months in. So 6 months in, I pivoted. I asked my dad for even more money after failing. I asked him for an even bigger sum this time, which was about 250 quid, which was huge back then for me. And that was to start a clothing brand, which was pretty interesting. I tried to put a French twist on my last name and called it Clater, and that completely failed. So yeah, so about 6 months I tried dropshipping.
Okay. And then the marketing agency that you landed on today, what age did you start that?
I think I was 17. So I started offering marketing originally as a freelancer. So I think I just called it Clates SMMA, which was the social media marketing agency. Um, didn't actually set the company up until I was actually generating revenue. So I didn't set it up until the day I turned 18 because we didn't make any revenue for the first year. So yeah.
What was the point where you went from selling products to selling a service? Like, why did you make that switch?
Reason why I made the switch, there was actually only one reason. The one reason I made that switch is because when you're in a B2C business, which like drop shipping, that's where you're selling bouncy balls to like, random people. I wasn't building my network. So I realized that if I wanted to scale and actually make money, I needed to speak to people like Miles, speak to all these other entrepreneurs. And I didn't know how to actually contact them. But if I was in a business to business company, which is what Becks Clates is, selling to other businesses, I'd hopefully be meeting the entrepreneurs that are running those other businesses. So the main reason why I did it was just to network with other entrepreneurs and meet
Yeah.
other entrepreneurs.
Why is it important to network though?
Cool. Every single deal that I've got for Becks Clates has come from networking. Every single deal. So it's opened up so many opportunities for me. Every single opportunity I've ever had has come from networking and meeting people.
How does it go from meeting someone to actually signing off on a deal? Like, can you take us through that process?
And how do you actually meet them in the first place?
Yeah, so pretty interesting one. I actually originally searched up on Google business networking events in Hull. So I'm originally from Hull. And then once I found some business networking events, maybe half of those was free, and I'd signed up to every single one. So I'd go to one of these business networking events and I'd find someone like Miles, for example. Miles would come to me when he was at 400K revenue and he'd say, right, Owen, I want to hit 1 million. This is what I'm doing for my marketing. I'm doing meta ads. I'm doing PPC. Here's my adverts, but I can't scale to 1 million. Can you help me out? And that's sort of how the conversation goes. Then normally Miles would say, all right, well, should we have a coffee sometime? And then I'd go have a coffee with the person, show them sort of results that we've had for previous clients, and then give them a proposal. And then it goes from there.
So those previous clients, a lot of businesses, they need those case studies to get further work. Did you do free work? Like, what would you say to someone who's got an idea of maybe they want to do social media management or something like that? What would you say to them to get bigger and better clients, essentially?
Yeah, we actually started by doing free work, which is why for the first year we made absolutely nothing because we was doing it all for free. But once you've got that first year or first 6 months, however long you want to do free work for, once you've got that out of the way, you've then got 10 case studies that I can then show to Miles and say, look what I've done. So that's sort of, how I did it, because it gave me a big client base without having to, if I gave a proposal to all those 10 companies, none of them would have gone ahead with me because I didn't have any clients.
Yeah.
But if you're offering it for free,
So if someone's got a service business, they should go up to local businesses and say, look, I can do this for free. I'm trying to build my portfolio, something like that.
depends what you're selling, to be honest. I mean, from a marketing point of view, you need case studies because it's such a saturated market. There's tons of agencies out there, tons. So with marketing in particular, 100% that's what you should do, in my opinion anyways.
You're obviously very confident. You're 20 years old. So how do people, how did you get people to take you seriously, especially when you're 14? Even now, I think I had a look on your social media, doing a lot of talks. How do you get this confidence and get people to take you seriously?
Has anyone heard of The Secret? No one's heard of The Secret. Have you two heard of The Secret?
No.
Has anyone heard of The Secret? Have you heard of The Secret? Oh, get in. So The Secret is a book I stumbled across. And in short, it essentially says, it's similar to what Miles was saying earlier, actually. If you believe you can do something, you'll do it. If you don't believe that you've got the ability to do something, you won't do it. It's such a simple phrase, but as soon as I genuinely started believing in myself and believing I could do talks or run a business and do X, Y, Z, I just started doing it. There's no real other explanation. You've just got to believe in yourself. It's very difficult at the start because you've got no proof to yourself that you can do it. You've got no proof at all that you can do it. I didn't have any proof, 3 years ago. I was still in Subway making sandwiches. So you've just got to have this weird sort of unshakable belief in yourself. That's the only answer I can give to.
You've got to have the mindset, but have you always had that? Have you had to work on it? Was there a place where you're less confident?
But yeah, there was a place where I was like, mega unconfident. I had like acne all over my face, and yeah,
So it has been a conscious decision to become confident. You've had to almost have a routine for it in a way.
yeah. I mean, I'd be the shy kid in the corner of the room when I was, sort of younger. Even when I started dropshipping, I was still just mega shy. I don't know. I got over it at some point because you can't live your life being shy and unconfident because you're going to miss out on opportunities. It was actually there's a point in time when it changed. My dad actually reminded me of it. When I was in my school, when I was 14, I don't want to like go down this story too much, but pretty much, in short, bit of drama was happening. I was laid down eating a sandwich. I know this is a bit off topic. Laid down eating a sandwich, right? And this kid comes up behind me. Didn't know he was there. Laid like this on the floor eating a sandwich. Comes up behind me. Just starts battering me pretty much. Just literally in the playground. And yeah, that was probably one of the most embarrassing moments for me. It just there was loads of people around, everyone saw it. I just felt mega embarrassed. Ever since that moment, because I stood up, I didn't do anything. I didn't stand up for myself. Um, Ever since that moment happened, I just realised I've got to come out my shell and stop being extremely shy and unconfident because people take advantage of you.
Yeah.
I was like really skinny at the time as well, and that was eating away at my confidence. So once that happened, I just made the conscious decision that nothing like that's ever going to happen again. Started boxing, started doing MMA. I started going to the gym every single day, and I got to the point where I am now. But that was, 'cause people ask for a turning point. That was the turning point for me. Um, and yeah,
Got to feel the fear and do it anyway, I suppose. So you got shortlisted for the Young Entrepreneur of the Year award and also the Great British Entrepreneur Awards. How's that feel? Did you think you'd be ever be in a spot where you'd be getting awards like this?
but that was insane. Sadly, I came second. I didn't win that, but there's always next year. But yeah, insane feeling.
What would 14-year-old Owen make of that?
I've actually tried thinking about this. Uh, when I was when I started getting to the age of about 17, all I could think about in my head was, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And I genuinely believed that all these things that I've experienced, I knew would happen. If I saw this at 14, I'd just be baffled. I wouldn't believe you. If you
Yeah.
came back in a time machine and said, look, this is you, I'd just be like, what are you on about?
A lot of young people think it is sort of unachievable, unattainable to start a business. What would you say to them? And often you hear, oh, I need this amount of money. This person had this connection. What would you say to them?
Um, all I would say is, for me to start my dropshipping business, literally cost me £1 a month. Shopify, which if you don't know dropshipping, it's a very easy business model. I'll tell you what, put that to a side. In short, there's so many low risk and easy business models to do that don't require any capital, don't require any money to start. I did it with £80 from my dad. I started 11 dropshipping sites with £80. I then started a clothing brand and the only reason I got money from him for my clothing brand was so I could order some samples, but I didn't even need to. Because I did white labeling?
No.
No. In short, white labeling is where the factory owns all the stock, so I don't have to hold anything. And as soon as we get an order, that's when we send the money to the factory. But the order that's come in, say that £50, £30 of that goes to the factory. It requires no money to start off with. So yeah, if you're saying you need money to start off in business, you're lying.
I was going to say we had two business ideas that the students shared earlier. I want to hear what you make of them. So the first one was reselling on Vinted. What would you do if you were running that business day to day?
Well, oh, it's gone. I was going to ask you a question. Well, reselling's can be quite lucrative. I just think you'll struggle. I think reselling is something where you'll struggle to scale it because it's more of like a side hustle, I would say. You can scale it. I'm not saying it's impossible, but with the amount of competition and saturation in the market, very difficult to scale. If I was to do it,
If you were to grow it into a successful side hustle that a student could start and earn 200-300 quid extra every week or something like that.
yeah, I'd probably just go to a bunch of charity shops and there was a car boot sale today that I drove past. I'd probably go to loads of places like that and just buy stuff for £1, £2, £3, and then just relist it on Vinted and these other places. Just do quick turnarounds.
And the other business was a networking platform. What would you do with that if you were running it day to day?
Well, I actually think that's a brilliant idea because I'm a big preacher of networking. Um, the phrase, your network is your net worth. And especially B2B businesses. I'm a big believer in that. One question I would ask is, how are you going to, I'm going to ask you this question because I'm pretty interested. How are you going to monetize it? How are you actually going to get revenue from the platform?
So I'm probably thinking about, since new entrepreneurs, like there's loads in schools, probably go into schools and then probably either sponsorship, so where companies either want to invest and then they get new entrepreneurs directly into those and they can invest in their own companies.
The good thing with the networking platform is, if we had a proper think about it, that's just one way of monetizing it. There's probably about 100, probably thousands of ways to monetize.
And also you can launch loads of businesses because you have that network. That's one thing we've found valuable from doing a podcast is you get the network that you can then say that model doesn't work in 5 years. You can say, oh, we've got this network, we can launch a new business.
Yeah. No, I think it's got tons of potential. I just think if you heard of a pitch deck before, so if you create a pitch deck, you might already have one, create an in detail business plan and just go through the different sort of revenue streams that you could get from the networking platform. You could even do what these guys are doing. Start your own, podcast and interview loads of entrepreneurs that go on and then monetize the podcast, which these guys might be doing. They might be doing that now. So yeah, I mean, I'd have to have a proper think about that because it's a really it's a business where there's tons of stuff you could do with it.
That's great, really, isn't it? There's so many things you can go, so many places you can go there.
Should we open up for questions?
Yeah, has anyone got any questions just before we wrap up? Any questions for Owen?
Can I just say, all of you, put your hand up and said, I want to start a business. You've got 2 people here. I've got a lot of businesses. He's got a business that's doing 7 million. You should all be asking questions right now. If you want to start a business, you should all be asking some form of question.
I know that one of the quotes you really like to use is that rather than trading your time for money, instead trading your money for other people. Looking back, what was the most difficult mental but also physical hurdle you've had to overcome when transitioning from that mindset to build a successful and expanding business?
Good question.
Bloody hell. Yeah, that's the last question. No, that's brilliant. So yeah, the quote, what's your name? So the quote Amelia just mentioned there, that is, don't trade your time for money, trade your money for other people's time. The reason why I say that is because in a job, you're trading your own time for money. Once you're in that mindset of trading your own time for money, it's very difficult to get out because you tie the money to you being in a place till like 9 to 5. With Subway, and I say this to people all the time, you guys, I'm guessing not many of you have got jobs. Say there's a square on the floor. So imagine you all in jobs. If I told you to stand in this square from 9 to 5 every day, Monday to Friday for £100 a day, would you do it? And a lot of people say no. But then I say, well, what job are you in? They're in Subway, they're in McDonald's, something like that. Yes, you can learn skills from it. You learn communication skills, a bit of team skills. But after a few months, you're not learning much from working at Subway or Macca's. But that's the same thing. You're just standing in a place between 9 to 5, not really learning much. And all you're doing is trading your time for money. When you're in that mindset, you don't have the free time to figure out how you can make money without having to trade your time. The businesses that I've got at the minute, all 12 of those are fully automated. I don't have to do anything. And the money ticks over. Same with Miles. He's got tons of staff that are doing all the work for him. So Miles doesn't have to do it himself. And that's why he's scaled so well. And he's also got AI automations, which obviously we're using in all our companies. But you have to get out of that mindset to start and scale a business. If you do start a business and you're in that mindset, it'll always be you as a one-man band. And it's very difficult to scale. You need to hire staff or get AIs or automated processes in to allow the company to actually scale. Or else it's just tied to the time you put in. So that was a brilliant,
Good question.
Yeah.
brilliant question.
Let's see another hand. Yeah?
Yep.
How long did it take your business to start making a big profit?
A big profit?
Yeah,
What do you class as big?
higher than the average earning of a person yearly.
Well, I'll be honest. Becks Clates in its first year, so first 12 months, we did 41,000 revenue. Gross profit was 35,000 because it's a high profit business. However, because I was testing loads of stuff, my net profit was about $5,000. This is a bit crazy. My 13th month and my 14th month of Becks Clates, we did about 140 grand in revenue, just out of nowhere. And that actually ties into what Miles was talking about with the diamond analogy, because 40 grand is okay, but working a whole year for $5,000, it's not really worth it. But I was right next to the diamonds. I so nearly gave up, but I decided to keep digging. And then I did a 60 grand month and an 80 grand month out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, the 13th and sort of 14th months, just the start of my second year in business, that was when I started making what I'd call big money, if you'd like to call it that. But that's small in comparison to Miles. So it depends what you mean by big.
Did you change in the 13th and 14th month? Was it more clients?
It was honestly just pure luck.
Luck in what sense though?
I went to a few events. So to be honest, I started going to events in London. The clients in London have a lot more money and they're a lot more open to test things. Whereas in Hull, because I'm from Hull, they're just not as open to testing things and trying things. And that was around the time where I started networking in London. We got a big deal with a barrister firm, big deal with a lawyer firm. So we just got loads of big deals from London within that 2-month period of time. So it was just purely networking in London. And that's why I eventually moved to London.
Any other questions?
Yeah. How do you scale like sales per day?
How would I scale the sales? Yeah. So, you're talking about Becks Clates. So for Becks Clates, the way we actually get sales now is I've got 2 guys who are based in London that go to network for me. So I've actually automated the networking so I don't have to do it anymore. They go to maybe 2 events a day and they also ring up sort of our current clients and ask for referrals, and they'll meet people at those events which turn to clients. The main source of income at the minute is by my call team. So I've got 4 people that are doing about 100 calls each every single day, just cold calls. And that's the main way I'm bringing in business at the minute. We also run some meta ads and some PPC, but for marketing agencies, it's very competitive. So the way I'm scaling Becks Clates is by growing my sales team in terms of the outbound calling team and the 2 guys that are networking on the ground. So that's how I'm scaling at the minute.
Any other questions?
What do you do in like typical day?
What's that, sorry?
What do you do in a typical day?
What do I do? Oh, interesting. Well, some people call me the Side Quest King. I do all sorts, to be honest. I do talks. I like traveling, so I do a lot of talks internationally. I'm going to New York in 2 weeks' time, which is going to be insane. So I like traveling to different places to do talks, which actually gets me clients in return. So that's worth it. I would say 50% of my day is sat in front of a whiteboard with other entrepreneurs. In front of a whiteboard and brainstorm ideas all day. The other 50%, I'll do a bit of admin work, meetings. I'll just do loads of meetings with like incredible people. I've been trying to book in a meeting with Miles for about 4 months, so we're still trying to get that one in. And I also, in my free time, I go to gym, I do boxing, I do a bit of football. Yeah, day to day, it's so varied, I couldn't tell you. Like tomorrow, I'm off back to London. The next day, I'm off to some place on the outskirts, to some event. It's honestly crazy. And that's what I love about it, because you never know what's going to happen next.
Yep.
If you could like pick a side hustle, like to start if you were our age, what would it be?
Honestly, pretty interesting opinion. I would start kick streaming. I would start streaming. The money you can make from streaming is mental. And I would actually start by my side hustle would just be growing my personal brand, because your personal brand in today's day and age, if you grow that, it's
But
like,
what is a personal brand, first of all, for
so
everyone
a
listening?
personal brand, I mean, in terms of social media, you got Instagram, you've got TikTok, you've all seen guys with loads of followers. That is what your personal brand is. It's your presence. It's who you are. What's your personality? What are you known for? If you grow your personal brand to a certain level, you could pretty much do anything. Look at KSI. He started off doing FIFA videos in his bedroom. You all could do that right now. You could go and start making FIFA videos. Look what he's grew into. He set up the Sardmen with all the other sort of YouTubers in there, which have made tons of money. He started boxing, and he beat Tommy Fury, or I don't know. He started boxing. He's done some crazy stuff there. He started doing music. We won't talk about thick of it, but he started doing music pretty well. And that to me seems like the best thing you could do, because once you've started a personal brand and you've grew it to a certain figure, you can pretty much start any business, and you've got a huge advantage because you've got a huge platform where you could get millions and millions and millions of people to watch your content every month. And if you have a product or a service that you're selling to those people, you've got hundreds of millions viewing your product or your service. It's free advertising. So I would actually say, just start growing your personal brand. Yeah. And figure out how to monetize it in the future. That's the main point.